Kelly Willard's veterinary story starts much like any other. She knew she wanted to work with animals, so she studied hard, went to vet school, and practiced for 6 years after graduating. Then tragedy struck. Her mom passed away from cancer. She saw how her dad's veteran benefits took care of the family's expenses, and she wanted the same type of security for her husband and kids. So Dr. Kelly Willard became Captain Kelly Willard, DVM, of the Army National Guard. In this Spark Community story, she shares what it was like to serve in Afghanistan for a year and how it compares to being a civilian veterinarian.
I had the northeast and central portions of the country, and I had about 109 working dogs to take care of. We also take care of NATO, so even learning like which dogs are Norwegian, which ones are Czech, Danish, Turkish. So trying to keep all of that straight was, a little intimidating at first and just confusing, and language barriers and having interpreters set up for things. Then there was only one other vet who covered the south and western part of the country. So between the two of us, we're covering, a pretty large area with a lot of dogs. And yeah, if you're just like any veterinarian, right, you're just used to working hard and just getting it done, and it would probably be more helpful to have more veterinarians out there. I think the similarities would be you get a lot of regular sick call like you would stateside. So like again, paw pad injuries or vomiting, diarrhea, skin issues, or just they're not doing right. But dealing with gunshot wounds, which some veterinarians in probably areas of Texas deal with that. So I would say gunshot wounds was probably one of my newest things that I had to get used to and figure out. Explosions, what to do, because even if nothing gets blown off of them, you don't know what type of internal trauma could have occurred, especially if they're in an MRAB that exploded. I think just being ready for being on call 24 hours, 7 days a week, and just knowing that these dogs' lives are in your hands. It's probably just like doing a lot of emergency work. I think the biggest difference was team working with the human healthcare providers. So I would often fly around and train them on how to triage and take care of the dogs, because by the time I saw them, I was often the third person to them. When I came back from deployment, my previous employer owned several practices, so I was bouncing around from practice to practice, filling in places for people, which is fine, but I definitely needed some consistency, especially. So when I came back, I looked into starting my own, just from scratch, like a building and everything. And oddly enough, a friend had mentioned to me, oh, you should talk to this practitioner. I don't know how much longer he's planning on practicing. He hasn't talked about selling, but you never know. I said, okay, and it's in a really nice area. The ironic thing was that he had actually tried to sell it while I was deployed, and something happened and the sale didn't go through. So it could have already been sold. So the fact that it was there, and I had been gone a whole year and it came back and it was still available was kind of cool. It's been a long process, and you're right, there's times where, well, this isn't gonna work out. And then something changes and it's like, oh, okay, we can try this avenue. So it's definitely been a roller coaster of emotions, but I've definitely wanted to continue doing it. Yeah, you do have to take risks, in life. Nothing's gonna be risk-free if it's that great of a thing, So just a matter of how badly do you want it. So I decided, well, I do want this, but I truly love what I do. And I know some people change careers or don't realize what's all entailed with being a veterinarian, but I don't know. I guess I knew from day one, and I had been in it enough to see the good and the bad, and I knew it was a high debt burden with not a lot of money obviously coming back, but I just thought I don't want just any old job. I want to do something I'm gonna love doing every day. So it just was never any other option.
A huge thanks to Captain Willard for sharing her story. And if you haven't yet, find the other stories in our series of inspiring women in veterinary medicine. We want to hear from you. Talk back on social media or email us at spark@navc.com.